Hey everyone, this is DJ.
And this is Ish.
And this is Season 5 of Pero Let Me Tell You.
Oye, mi gente. So, as you guys know, we've said it a gajillion times. One of the best parts about having started this podcast is that we've gotten to meet awesome people. And 4 of those awesome people are from Spanish SAP Presents that we met, God, it seems like forever ago. And so whenever we see them having success, it is like just warms the cockles of our dead cold hearts. And as a result of that, I am so happy to bring on Oscar Montoya from Spanish SAP Presents, but also from HBO Max's Minx. So,
yes!
Bro, dude, seeing you on that show, like, congrats. Like, that's all I gotta say.
Oh my God, thank you so much. First of all, I have to say thank you for saying the name of the show correctly. A lot of people don't say it correctly.
What do they say?
Let me just clarify. They say the Minx, and it's not the Minx, it's just Minx. I did an interview with a pretty big news source, and when they interviewed me, they were like, "Oh, please welcome the star of The Jinx, Oscar Montoya." And I said, "No, not The Jinx. Do you know what The Jinx is? The Jinx is that one with the Robert freaking Durst."
So decidedly not you.
Not me! Not me at all. And I had to be like, "I'm sorry, it's not The Jinx, it's Minx. It's just Minx. I'm sorry." So thank you for saying the name of the show correctly.
Of course. I mean, you don't say the Playboy. It's Playboy, so it's Minx.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. You get it.
See, well, I listen,
You get it.
and having watched, I'm all caught up. Having watched it, I'm picking up a lot of what that show's throwing down. Okay. So
Okay. What you picking up? Huh?
That's it. Well, okay. I'm gonna preface even before saying what the premise is that I think your first episode has to have set some type of record for most penises on screen at one time.
I think it does actually. Yeah, I think it has the most dicks in an episode.
Yeah, and I'm including maybe anything by like Sean Cody. I mean, I'm just I'm gonna.
The real ones will know who
Yes,
Sean Cody is.
somewhere out there, Michael Lucas is really pissed at you guys.
Oh my God! But he's a fan. Okay.
You gotta love something to be jealous of it.
I love it.
So with that, what is the premise of Minx?
Yes. Okay. So the premise is essentially the birth of the first erotic magazine for women. So it's about this woman named Joyce Prigger, who's this feminist, very white Blanca savior sort of thing, who we know the type, who is a feminist and she wants to have a feminist magazine, but nobody at the time, because this takes place in 1972, back when men ruled the magazine world and everything was sort of like Playboy forward and objectifying women forward. So no one's biting, except for this guy named Doug Renetti, played masterfully by Jake Johnson.
Love him.
Icon, period, who is willing to team up with her, but the caveat is that they can do a feminist magazine, but it must have naked men on the cover and have like a centerfold and stuff. So that's the birth of Minx. And so I play Richie, the photographer of Minx, which is pretty cool because there's something really powerful about having a magazine for women, but the person behind the lens is a gay man.
Yeah.
So these women are looking at male naked bodies through the lens, literally, of a gay Latino. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, that's why I love Richie's, I mean, not to brag or anything, but Richie's my favorite character on the show.
Well, I mean, you're a little biased, I would imagine.
I might be a little
you're
biased.
a little biased, seeing as how you play Richie, so it might be, a little preference there. But, so, I mean, I remember seeing you post about it a couple, God, it seems, time has no meaning anymore, thanks to the pandemic.
Not at all.
So
what is time?
I was like, it could have been last week, it could have been 6 years ago that I saw you post when it initially started. And, what was that like? Because I know, obviously you part of Spanish Like Presents with the podcast and your live shows. You also done some voiceover work with
That's right.
Bless the Hearts on Fox.
Bless the Hearts, Victor and Valentino, Final Space.
I mean, also one of personally me and DJ's favorite things that you've ever been in was the H&R Block commercial. Like
the Money in Minutes commercial. I truly loved. They let us go off. That commercial was directed by Tim and Eric, which is like a big comedy
from Tim and Eric Awesome Show.
Exactly, yeah. Okay. So they directed that commercial, and they were just like, do whatever you want, because like the chant "Money in Minutes," like they didn't have a thing for that, so they were just like, do whatever you want, and we had the best time. It was such a fun.
It looked show. I mean, I gotta say, to this day, it's just, I think about it. It's one of my favorite commercials ever. So how do we get from there to Richie? Right?
Yes.
Especially during a pandemic.
Oh my gosh. Well, we shot the pilot pre-vaccine. That's how long ago we shot the pilot. And we shot it in November when COVID cases in LA were at their absolute worst. So we were just scared for our lives at that moment. We were like, hopefully everything goes okay. And we finished the show without any serious tolls on our health. Woo-hoo. And miraculously that happened. And then we shot the season during the Delta variant when cases in LA were at their absolute worst. So we were like, we can't get a fucking break here. Dang.
Oh,
it was crazy. But yeah, so like I got the part of Richie because I actually was helping my friend with an audition for the show. I didn't know anything about Minx, but in that audition, I was reading for Richie, and I was like, this character seems really fun and something I could do. So I just told my reps, I was like,
wait, so hey, you were just reading like the sides of Richie?
I was just reading the sides, exactly.
Wow.
And I was like, this seems like something I could do, and like the character seems fun, and the show seems really good. It's really funny on paper. So I was like, yo, like reps, like hook me up. And my reps was like, oh, I think they already like found someone for Richie. And I was like, no, they didn't. So I essentially forced myself in the room, and luckily it worked out. It worked out for me. So
listen, as we always say, if there's not a seat at the table, you got to make your own damn table and your chair and everything. Like,
because you get it. It's hard. You know what I mean? It's hard for us to find, us as Latinos, like it's hard for us to find seats at any table.
Yeah.
They don't want to seat us anywhere. The only seat that we can find is other Latinx tables. But like, no, I want to infiltrate the space.
And that's when you're not waiting on the table.
That part
on screen,
that part. Oh my god! Seriously, the amount of times I played like the help on shows is far too much. I mean, that's most of my resume. So it was great to play a character that had 3 dimensions, that had a skill, and that was very good at their job.
Yeah, and don't knock the fabulous wardrobe, sir, because like I told you the other day, I would wear that sailor outfit. Oh, wait, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. No, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can, yeah.
Okay, great. I was talking about the sailor
the sailor outfit.
And that is so funny because it looked really great and I loved how it turned out, but can I tell you, it was the worst shoot day of the entire series. First of all, it was outdoors in September, early September, when it's the hottest it's like ever been in LA. We were at a country club, and I have big, like huge arm tattoos. Like I have sleeves.
That's true.
And so every time I had to get ready for Richie, they have to put me in like 2 hours of tattoo coverage.
Just your arms.
So I'm just my arms. I have to put pounds and pounds of makeup on. And, you know, the sailor costume, it's like, I'm showing my arms.
Yeah.
So the top of the costume is a woman's bathing suit from the 1940s that they've pinned up. And the armholes are like, baby, teeny tiny little noodles. It's perfect for a, like, svelte woman's arm from the 40s, but not for my arms. Hell to the no. So I was like, oh my gosh. And I couldn't put my arms at my side because my makeup was running because it was so hot. So like I couldn't touch the shirt. I was so aware of, oh my God, but I'm so glad the way that it turned out because that outfit is so iconic. Shout out to Beth Morgan, who is the costume designer of Minx. She's a freaking legend. She knows, she'll put me in stuff that I'm like, girl, what are you doing? Like, this is not cute at all. And she's like, trust me. And sure enough, it looks great. Everyone looks so amazing.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of the late 70s, like as it is. So for me to see, you know, all of the costumes and everything, I believe the latest episode, you know, your character Joyce, and I forget the other. She's my favorite, the blonde character, and Bambi, of course,
love her.
Are at a pool party, and it's this wonderful mix just of, you know, suits and t-shirts and swimsuits, and but it's like this hodgepodge of every like vintage looking 70s, you know, style. It was a feast for the eyes, at least as far as
how beautiful was that? It was so beautiful. And we shot that at Frank Sinatra's old house. That's where he used to live. And so now, I mean, since he's passed, obviously, but that place is now reserved for shooting stuff. But it felt really cool, and there was like a sense of magic in there. It was like really nice to shoot there.
Talk about vintage.
Exactly, right?
But I mean, speaking of vintage, right? As we said, this takes place in the 70s. What is it? 76?
72.
Oh, 72. Oh, I thought it was later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Early 70s. Yeah.
What did it feel like for you? Because, you know, your character is Latino, right? Is Hispanic, Latin, whichever phrase they were using back in 72.
Whatever you choose to call me, go ahead.
Especially in 72, whatever they were using.
Exactly. Yeah, they were not saying Latinx
at all. You know, how did it feel to play, you know, a character that is, in a way, similar to yourself, right?
Absolutely,
but,
yeah.
You know, in the 70s, right? And not even the late 70s, when I would think it's a little more disco, freedom, etc. The early 70s is starting that path, right?
Exactly. It's so important to point out because the late 60s was sort of Woodstock, flower power, flower child, the hippie era, and also a lot of sort of social civil rights uneasiness. You know, you had the civil rights movement, you had Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination, you had the second wave of feminism happen. So in the late 60s, it was quite progressive, or at least like socially conscious. And then in the 70s, with the birth of like the Nixon era, you go back, the pendulum starts swinging around. And as we know, history swings back and forth, right? Conservative, liberal, conservative. Yeah. So we're like in this dawn of like this conservative era, which Minx does really well to point out in terms of like decency laws and all that stuff. Like the fact that people were so shocked that Minx the magazine could happen says so much about where we were as a country back in the early 70s. And for someone who is Latino at that time, there really wasn't a lot of opportunities for Latinos to sort of advance in the workplace. You know what I mean? It was a lot of like, you know, hired help, or like working in the fucking fields in
the gardener,
County.
The landscape.
Exactly. Yeah. So like that was what you saw. So to have Richie, who was openly gay, very Latino, starting out as a makeup artist and then finding his career as a photographer was so amazing. And to play that transition and to play a character like coming to terms with his talent as an artist and seeing himself as an artist is really, really, really special.
Yeah, and like I said, you know, I said he's coming into his career, and like I said, you know, finding his voice, but at the same time, neither you nor any of these characters necessarily, I think, are playing on that trope of like discovering who I am. You said something earlier, you know, these are fully realized characters. This is not,
absolutely,
you know, your character's not going to go through a journey of self-discovery into homosexuality, you know, or any, like, these people know who they are.
That's happened. Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Happened. Now, they will grow in ways that they may not have anticipated, but and I feel like that's very rare, especially when you see period pieces, because I think, and God, it kills me to say that 1972 is a period piece.
I know. Who you telling? Ooh.
But you tend to see period pieces, you know, that the struggle and the coming to terms with who you are, and this whole show just kind of said, no, yeah, no, they did that before you met them. Don't worry, we're good.
Exactly. And I love that. I love that we don't see like a gay victim story, like someone who's just like, woe is me, I'm gay and it's 1972. Like Richie's not bothered by that. He like doesn't give a fuck
At all.
about y'all thinking he's gay. Like he's been on that journey, he's gone over that journey, like that's done for him. Like now we're on a different journey of finding him as an artist, you know, like the gay shit is tired. Like, not to say that we don't need stories like that, but I think it's refreshing to see stories that aren't that.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? To find the gay story where it's like, well, I think like as a gay person watching media, I think the apex, you know how like in straight media, like the apex of straight culture is marriage?
Yeah.
Like finding the one and like being married and having kids and living happily ever after. I think the gay narrative in media is like you come to terms with your sexuality and you come out and then you live happily ever after at the end. It's like, babe, no, gay stories are longer than that. Do you know what I mean? That's only the beginning of the story, is the coming out story. What happens after? And I'm so glad the show was like, yes, let's show you more discoveries outside of sexuality that this character can have.
And I think there's also something to, again, having never worked in pornography, but I
Yes.
Listen, if anybody wants to start this OnlyFans page, you know, chubby balding guy, you know what, I'm in.
I'm telling you, there's a market for everything on OnlyFans.
This is true. This is true. If the internet has taught me anything, is that
Exactly.
pa los gustos se hicieron los colores.
Exactamente.
But I also think that the fact that they set it in the world of, you know, of pornography, because again, the publisher of Minx, also, what is it, Bottom Dollar Publishing, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Productions, also has several other adult titles, right? Although they're of naked women. So, but I think the fact that you can have these misfits, as it were, at least in terms of how mainstream society might see them, in the world of pornography, you almost kind of expect that these people are going to find themselves. So it acts as that Boogie Nights shorthand.
Absolutely.
You know, where it's just like, well, yeah, of course they're okay with, you know, the gay guy, the black girl, and the, you know, and the straight guy all just hanging out because it's porn. Of course they're cool with it. You know, they've seen it all. And I think it's kind of smart in a way, because then you don't have to. Again, you don't have to build that in a way that you have to take the viewer by the hand. It's just like,
exactly,
this is the world.
Exactly, and I think also it's interesting to me because sort of the perspective of the lead with Joyce, that is a perspective of the audience, right? The audience is looking at it and being like, oh my gosh, like that's so wild. But like, if you notice, like Joyce is the odd person out in in the company. She's the weirdo, you know, because we all have like a system and we all are like a family, and then Joyce shows up and we're like, the fuck, what's going on with this weirdo? You know what I mean?
The joke is totally on her. Like you always wind up eye rolling at her lines, or, you know, laughing at the things that happen to her as a result.
Exactly. And I love that. And the thing that I love about the show is that you take away the porn aspect of it, and ultimately it is about a found family coming together, and it's kind of like a wholesome workplace comedy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of like The Office if everybody was naked, like just
that part.
That
part, exactly. So I think that's kind of refreshing, and again, like you said in the pilot episode, with the amount of dicks that you see in the pilot episode with the dick montage, we did that as a sort of a way to be like, let's get all these dicks out of the way so then you can be used to it, so then you can actually start paying attention to what the show is actually about.
Right.
Which is about the connections between these people, you know?
Well, mission accomplished, because damn,
you know
that was a lot.
Girl, even for me, like because we have an intimacy coordinator on set, and they're so great, and it was a closed set, so like everyone that didn't have to be there was not in sight. Mm-hmm. And so while we were doing the dick montage, everyone left except for me, because they were like, Oscar, we want to use your pictures on the Polaroid later on in the show. And I was like, okay.
Don't lie.
so-
They just needed an expert on set. That was what it was.
That's
don't,
true. You're
don't
right.
lie.
You're
don't
right.
lie.
You're right. So I show up, and at first I'm a little nervous because I was like, "Oh, I hope these men don't get like weirded out, like that I'm there and I'm taking pictures of their penises."
So
and,
you
like,
actually took the pictures.
oh yeah, girl, I was so close too because they didn't have any zoom feature on the Polaroid camera, so that shit was up close and personal, you know. So after the third or fourth, it was like nothing to me. They didn't think it was a big deal.
Right.
I didn't think it was a big deal, and I was just like, next, you know what I mean? It was like, it was great, and it's such a liberating feeling because we have such. I mean, for me personally, I will speak before the show. I had these like really uptight views on like nudity and
Really?
sexuality. I was such a prude. I mean, yeah, I guess I would consider myself a prude. Like, ooh, you know what I mean? Like, nudity is weird. But now because of the show, it's just like, oh my god, all bodies are like amazing and great.
That
you
is
know what I mean?
so funny to hear because I mean, admittedly, it's not like I know you. Like we hang out on the weekends, but
Right.
But I always got the vibe that you were very, to use a word, right, like artistic, right, and that those types of
Right.
things probably would not necessarily bother you. So to hear that you were like a little guarded, it's interesting. It's interesting to hear. I would not have assumed that at all.
Well, it's so
you.
funny because it's similar to Joyce's thing of like someone who's a feminist and like very talks the talk, but then when she walks the walk, she can't really do it. She's just like, yes, all women should have sex. And then when a penis is presented to her, she's like, what are we doing? Like, how weird, you know? Like, I think that's how I was because I would consider myself very artistic, very sort of like looking at the body in an artistic form. But when you see face to face a flaccid penis, you're like, dude, what? You know what I mean? But it's such a liberating moment. It's so great.
It's definitely an experience. I'll
Absolutely.
definitely
Yep.
say that.
Without a doubt.
So, first of all, I want to say again, I think I said it earlier, happy birthday, because it is your
Thank
birthday
you.
today.
Aw, thank you.
And thank you for chatting with us on your birthday, because I know on my birthday,
course.
I'm like, no, I'm gonna spend all day eating cake. Like I'm good.
Oh, you best believe after this conversation, I'm about to eat a nice slice of flan, okay?
Oh, you just man after my own heart. Man after my own heart over here. But I know that as we're recording this, the last episode will be airing this week of this
That's right.
season. And as someone again who has actually watched the entirety of the season so far, any word yet on a season 2? I know, even if you knew, I feel like you wouldn't be able to tell us. But it's like I gotta ask because I'm in. I'm invested. I'm invested. Like
it's what's so great is that people have been responding so positively to the show. Like the amount of feedback we're getting and like the reviews have been so positive for the most part. I can't really say. I can't disclose that information just yet. But stay tuned. Stay tuned.
But you
Stay
haven't been
tuned.
told you're canceled. Is basically what. Because let's face it.
Because
it
I
takes,
would be crying right now. I would be in tears. If this
It
video,
takes a lot quicker for somebody to be like, yeah, it didn't work. Thanks for playing. Like
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'll be a miracle if we release all 10 episodes. Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, exactly.
No. Yeah. No. Luckily, that has not happened. So.
So I gotta switch gears for a minute and obviously talk about Spanish Aquí Presents.
Of course. My other baby.
Your other baby, which I gotta say I've been missing the podcast. I know it's on hiatus.
I know. We are. We're just busy doing so many other
Which
stuff.
Which is great.
Yeah. It's very exciting because with the pandemic, we couldn't really do any more live shows. But now that the ban has lifted and we're feeling a little bit more comfortable doing shows, like that's what we're putting all our attention on doing our live shows, and they've been really fun.
Yeah, you guys had Melissa Fumero
legend,
shows back. I mean,
icon,
beyond, like we had her on the
an
show.
absolute sweetheart.
I'm actually upset about that show, though. I gotta tell you, because
Why?
I was in LA until that Wednesday, and your show was that
Shut
Friday,
up.
and I was like, mother of pearl. And I think that was a show you guys had.
Are you
You guys had
serious?
pushed it back. I think, like
We did push it back.
Yeah, so
because we were supposed to do the week before.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Damn. So you got to fly out to LA to catch our next show.
well, you know
May
what?
6th.
And it's May 6th, and you guys are also do. I mean, you do shows every month, right? It's what is
We do every
the
yeah.
third Friday of every month, or the
It's
second
the
Friday?
first Monday of the month.
First Monday. I'm already changing the days. I'm saying Fridays.
No, it's cute. No, that's fine.
Just show up any day. They'll perform for you.
Just show up. Show up to Paramount LA. They have events every day. That's fine.
No, man. I like legit. I know I said this at the intro, but it's one of those things like, you know, watching you on Minx and you know, hearing Tony on The Simpsons and I caught Carlos when he did some stand up down here, you know, a little while back.
So
like
great.
It's one of those things where, like, honestly, having met y'all and knowing Riza, who's a force of nature,
oh my God.
but having met all of y'all and just seeing you guys continue to just grow and succeed, it really does make me so fucking happy. Like, because I know you all work at it. Like, I know that this is not woke up today and I just, you know, posted a picture and now I'm famous. You know, it's
some people can do that. Some people do that.
I can't.
I cannot.
I can't.
I'm not one of those people.
I
no.
can't. And I'm surprised because you have a better beard than I do. So you should be able to. You should. But we should get an OnlyFans started. You and I should get an OnlyFans Listen,
started.
I'm not doing anything in the next 20 minutes before you start diving into your flan, unless you want to make that part of the. It could literally
It'll
just
be an only flans.
Only flans.
It'll be an only flans.
It's just you and me eating flan, and that's
a kink to somebody out there in the world. Someone would pay a lot of money for that.
I don't want to know what they'd pay extra for us to do with the caramelo, but anyway, no. Now who's being the Joyce?
For the right amount, I'll do it.
Oh, listen, I'll at the very least I'll contemplate it. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. Like, I mean, you know, have the conversation at least. Like
at least open the conversation. Yes, exactly. You're right.
Consideration, you know. Mm-hmm. But no, like, honestly, it's awesome. Like, I love seeing you guys.
Thank you.
Know, just achieve and continue, because even something as, you know, in hindsight now compared to Minx, at least, you know, like seeing you in, like, the H&R commercial, you know, it was like, we know him, look at it, you know, and and also I if I remember correctly, you know, you have a background in dance, right? So
I do, yeah. I was a dancer before all this, yeah.
So to see you dancing, knowing that that's, you know, one of your loves, it's just like he just looks so happy, you know, doing it. And
nothing makes me happier than dancing. Hello. As Latinos, like, that's in our blood. You know what I mean? Like, that's how we communicate.
Oh, yeah. When I meet Latinos that can't dance,
Uy.
I'm always like, my first question is like, okay, can you really not dance? Or is it one of those things where people just think like, oh, I can't dance, but then they have rhythm, they can move, you know, maybe you can't do choreography, but you can dance. And then sometimes, oh, Lord, no.
They don't have rhythm. That when they're on the 1s and 3s instead of 2 and 4s, that's when I'm concerned.
Oh my God, it's like, oh, sweetheart, we're gonna have to put you into some type of rehab.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's take the whiteness out the system. Let's detox that caucasity out your system.
Okay, that's a T-shirt if I ever heard one. Detox the caucasity out of your system. Like, I do not be surprised if that shows up in our TeePublic store eventually, because that's
have my blessing.
with the pictures of those little like feet. The dancing steps things, exactly. Detox, yes, that it's gonna happen. We'll cut you in.
Oh, good, perfect.
All right. Okay, Oscar, like, again, thank you so much, man, for taking time.
Thank you, babe. Thank you so much for having me, and also, like, thank you so much for connecting people to Latinidad. First of all, like, your podcast is doing so much for the community. Period.
Thank you.
And I hope you know that. I hope you know that, because y'all really doing the thing.
It's one of those things where I think we know it, right, in the grand scheme of it all, because we're not dumb necessarily. Depends on the day. But it's like anything, right? You know, you don't realize what you're doing as you're doing it, because it's just what you do. I know that sounded like a haiku, but it was like
and a beautiful haiku. You should get that published. No, but what I will say is, like, what I admire about the both of you is that, like, y'all did it because there was a need and because you wanted to do it. Ultimately, you two like each other, like talking to each other, and opened it up so other people can get in on the fun. And by doing that, you have made essentially a political statement about Latinos talking to each other and open the doors for more people to get involved in the conversation, you know? And that is huge. Just you two living your lives is huge. So thank you for doing that.
No, bro. Making my like I don't even have words, and that's hard because I never shut the hell up. So thank you for shutting me up. But hey, man, the same can be said for you and all of you kids at Spanish Aki Presents. It's not easy to put on a show every month. It's not easy to put on a show, first of all, much less every month.
That is very true.
and then on top of that, you guys have all of your side. I don't know. I don't want to call it a side gig because I don't think Minx is like a side gig. It's not something you do on your board. It's not like real estate.
It's my fall. Like it's my backup.
It's your
plan.
fallback.
Yeah,
some people are secretaries. You have an acting career.
Yeah.
But it's additional things to schedule, and it's and you guys still chug away and plug away at it.
We do it because we love it.
But it shows. It shows. And I don't just mean that with SAP. I mean that with everything I see you all doing. Like there is an enjoyment and it's just it comes through. You can't fake that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bueno, sir. Always a pleasure. And I don't know if you ever come down to Miami at this point. Pero you're the only one that I think has not been down to Miami.
Once, and I fell in love with Miami. Miami has an incredible art scene that more people need to talk about. I really do want to come down for Art Basel. Because now that I have some money, I can enjoy the finer things in Miami life. So I'm gonna hit you up when I go there.
I was gonna say, si yo me entero that you come to Miami and you don't hit us up.
Que pena. No. You will be the first to know.
I will retroactively delete this episode. Like I will. I am petty. I am Petty LaBelle. I have no. Which might also be my drag name. Just to
love it.
Put it out there.
Do it. Yes.
All right, Papa. Bueno, as always, thank you so much. Un abrazo, and dude, I can't wait to just see you continue to pop up, in everything.
You're the sweetest. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, enjoy that flan.
I will.
Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lomlaplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.